so we can play a Greta Van Sloot. What is it? Greta Van Fleet?
Fleet?
Greta Van Fleet.
Are they
That's the band name, right?
Are they sponsoring the pod?
They might be. Those guys. I didn't know those guys were brothers. By the way, I've been really rocking out to them recently. But
How very
Shauna, we saw them live,
Nobody
right?
else?
Yeah.
You were there, right?
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
were they good live?
Yeah.
Yeah. We see a lot of good concerts. Those
We used to.
yeah, R.I.P. Those almost acoustic Christmas were awesome. They were great.
Dude, we're going this year. We got to get tickets.
Are the bands even good? I feel like they're not that good.
Oh,
No,
okay.
but you know what we're going
Right.
to is that the what's it called?
The spring training festival.
Yes, thank you.
Yes,
For
with
baseball?
like Weezer and Green Day all over
Look,
again.
yeah.
And Randy Johnson's gonna be.
So random.
Taking photos of birds. I wonder if he has to
Of
get a
upside
smaller
down
camera.
birds.
You think he uses a smaller camera or a taller camera?
Obviously, he needs a taller
Tall.
camera.
Tall
Or wouldn't you
camera,
need a
yeah.
smaller camera to get down into the?
No, you just bend your knees.
I don't know. I'm not a tall guy. I don't know. I don't know how that works.
That's
Bend
gold.
over.
That's
I mean, if I was
tall.
really tall, I get a smaller camera, and then the camera would be at everyone else's height, and I wouldn't have to bend over. And then I
That's
just put
deep.
it-
Maybe
just
the
snap
big.
it.
It's just. Oh, okay, yeah.
We call it the we call it waist
Get
height.
Randy on the phone. We'll ask him when we see him.
Brother Randy.
Randy on the pod, sponsored by Randy Johnson's Photography. Oh man.
How funny would that be?
Yeah. Anyway, weekly updates. What's everyone what's been going on this week?
Well, we had midterms. That was fun.
Yeah. Pass.
It's terrible.
It's not
Pass.
fun.
Did you say pass?
Pass. Let's just not even talk about that.
No, thank you.
Yeah. Hard pass.
I mean,
Let's see. There's more updates. I'm sorry.
no. How'd the Wyoming game go? Goble.
We play for the people who are listening in the future. It already happened. We don't know what happened because we haven't watched it yet.
Oh, they haven't played yet?
They play at 5.
Okay. We're recording the pod at 11:30 Pacific time. All the people across the country.
All of our
On Saturday.
all of our Angolan listeners.
Are you guys ready for the Niner
Hey.
game on Sunday?
No, of course not. I'm not ready for the Niner game because we're gonna
It's the Sunday night
No,
game.
because of course we're gonna lose. Of course we are.
You guys have no faith.
I think we suck.
We get 8
I don't
players
understand
back.
anything that's going on because, like, literally, this is what the shit I deal with on a regular basis, right? I'm like watching ESPN and everyone's like, the most dangerous team is the 49ers. I'm like, they're gonna be 4-5 after this week. Like, how the hell are we?
What are you talking about?
No, we get 8
Colin
players
Kaepernick,
back.
man.
Oh, Colin Kaepernick.
What year is it?
Colin Kaepernick. Colin Coward. Your boy. He said we're gonna win this week.
Jimmy G's the best.
Jimmy G.
But you already have teams that are like way better than us anyway. Like in terms of record and like ease of schedule from then on. Like 1, the Philadelphia Eagles, 2, the Dallas Cowboys, like all of the NFC East, right, has been better
fine.
than
Yeah, but they're not in our division.
the freaking Commanders. No, but I'm saying, but we're gonna be battling for a
The
wild card
Commanders?
spot, unless the Seattle Seahawks start losing games all of a sudden, right? We're gonna be battling for a wild card spot. So
You
Okay.
think Geno Smith has got it figured out?
he's got it better
For the
figured
rest
out
of
than
the
our
season.
jabroni of a quarterback does.
Did you not hear me say we get 8 players back this week? 8.
Yeah, but that didn't help us before. The only thing
We
that's a
weren't
saving
playing
grace,
before. That's
the
the
only
whole
thing that's a
point.
saving grace is if our defense plays well, and then we just hand the ball to Christian McCaffrey.
Right.
We get to play the Cardinals, the Chiefs. We're gonna lose to the Dolphins.
Didn't we just play
The
the
Bucks
Chiefs?
is a toss-up. I'm sorry, the Saints,
That's
Thank
not
you.
like the Chiefs at all.
the Dolphins, the Bucks, the Seahawks. So yeah, the Commanders,
beat
the
the Bucks.
Raiders. We're gonna win half these games. We're gonna be 500
We're gonna
I
lose.
like half.
We're gonna lose to
We're
the
going
Dolphins.
and win the
Tom Brady's
divisions.
gonna beat us by scoring 7 points because
No, he's
not
not.
gonna
No,
score anything.
He's terrible now.
You know.
No. Okay,
The
the
Raiders
Bucks
will beat us for the
defense is not
first half.
good.
Also, the Commanders. Watch out for them.
Terrible name. They should lose automatically.
Would you rather than be the Redskins?
Didn't their
No,
isn't
but
their
even the
owner
football
under
team is better than the
investigation?
fucking Commanders.
That's true.
Just Washington. Just call them Washington. Just don't even nothing else. You know, or call them DC.
They're not even in
We
one.
should have gone back to
they're
the
in Maryland.
Senators.
Yeah.
That makes more sense
Nobody
than
likes-
anything.
Nobody likes Senators either.
No, nobody likes senators. Of course not. But it's better than the commanders.
He should be the Washington House of Representatives.
The Congress
The
people.
Washington Secretary of Labor. Go down the line, change their name every single year they get into the. I would root for them if they did that, because then they're like playing a joke on themselves, and now it's like a fun thing we're all doing. And if
they have a new secretarial position every year.
Yeah, well, what if they won a game as like the
Secretary of the Interior,
head of the NSA or whatever, like, eventually, like,
well, then they might get accused of like, insider information. It could be a whole dramatic thing.
It's better than racism. I think. I don't know. We can talk about
you're
that.
not wrong.
We can talk about that on the pod today. We can talk about the levels of payouts it takes for when people do shitty things. That would be an interesting segment we could get into.
I think the perfect example of that, ironically enough, after the midterms here, has been with Donald Trump. The amount of shitty, racist, democracy destroying things he's done.
Yeah.
Republicans did not abandon him until he picked a bunch of candidates that lost. Yeah. And they were like, you know what? Thanks, we're good.
I was more talking about in sports, but sure, we can go down that road.
I'm just saying.
Let's talk about it, Shauna.
Equates.
I think this week is going to be so exciting with Donald running for re-election and the shit show media just falling through. It's going to be amazing. See how Fox and all those people react when he like re-announces his presidency.
Well, right now, this week, it's been pretty crazy because the Murdoch empire, which is Fox News and like the New York Post and some of those random, media outlets, have been slobbering over DeSantis and been like, well, maybe it's time for Donald to move aside. And it's like, we'll see how long that lasts.
They call him Blowjob Rob.
they like him down there, man.
Slobbering over.
They like DeSantis.
Give me the sloppy D, sloppy DeSantis.
They love him. But they love him for like not, in my opinion, like reasons that help them survive.
Like, yeah, but you got to think how you got to think how non-intelligent people think, though.
I'm aware of that. If you tell them like a trans kid is going to play women's sports, they just melt down, and it's their whole fucking philosophy. And it's like, is that a big deal? It's like two kids that are trying to do this.
Yeah, but they're not trying to win California. They're trying to win Wisconsin. And that message goes well over in Wisconsin. So
not necessarily, because they elected a Democratic governor. Their big thing was crime this year. And outside groups of like 4 billionaires pouring a ton of money into Wisconsin.
Tell us more.
Well, so the I love these things. The billionaire owner of a shipping company. I don't know how to pronounce the name. It's like the Ularles or something. It starts with a U. Right. I don't know how to pronounce it. But they poured a ton of money, him and like 3 other billionaires, a ton of money into the Wisconsin race to get Ron Johnson reelected. And it was a very close race. Mandela Barnes, I think, lost by less than a percentage point, which is like bananas. But basically all they did, it was like ad after ad after ad, just hammering crime. So that was the big thing in Wisconsin this year.
Have you ever been to Wisconsin?
No.
I don't feel like there's much crime going on there.
There's not. That's the whole point.
Cheese-related crimes.
A lot of cheese-related.
Assault with cheese whiz. I could see that happening on a regular basis.
Like having to watch the Packers this year is a crime. Like, yeah.
Watch Aaron Rodgers.
I haven't seen a whinier quarterback since Eli Manning.
You know what mom and dad's big thing about Aaron Rodgers is that his girlfriend's name is Blue.
Here's my thing, right? Here's my thing as a former athlete. Like,
swear to God, they bring it up all the time.
So, like, here's my thing with the former athletes, right? It's like these guys, Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers together. Like, dude, just go fucking retire. Like, you clearly don't like being here, right? You don't want to be there. And Aaron Rodgers, like, go do ayahuasca. It's cool, man. Nobody cares. We appreciate it. Be a shaman. Nobody cares, right? Like, Pat McAfee's killing it, not doing football right now, just hanging out, like dressing well and talking shit to people, right?
True.
Like, and trying not to curse on national TV, which is like, that's the whole college game day. It's like, I'm waiting for Pat McAfee to say fuck on national TV, And it's like, no, he just says something like close to that, But like Tom Brady clearly doesn't like playing right now, and he's just playing out of spite now because he can't stay married for very long. And
Aaron but clearly he didn't like being married either.
I know, but now he's like, well, I have nothing else to do now, so I guess I'm just gonna keep playing football, And you know he's not going out banging chicks, you know, because he's probably too busy getting Botox, you know. So it's
Have
just
you
like,
seen
dude,
his face?
yeah, but just like give it a rest, man. Like if you don't like playing the game anymore, it's okay. Just go away. You know, like everyone else does.
But I mean, we were all former athletes. It's hard to give it up.
If I was
It's hard to
if I
move
was
on.
Aaron
And if you've
Rodgers,
been playing until you're like 45 years old or however
like
fucking old Tom Brady is, like it's hard to make an adjustment. He went home for a month or whatever it was after retirement, was like, I'm good.
It wasn't even a retirement. It was the off season.
44 days. Yeah.
Didn't even last a week.
Yeah, he's like, these kids, you know, like fuck. But my point is like, what's stopping you? You created a great career already. Like, just quit in the middle of the season. Who cares? He's like, I'm done. Like Aaron Rodgers, like, I'm done. You guys drafted a first round draft pick like 4 years ago. He should be better than he is right now. Like,
Was
peace.
that the love guy or whatever?
Yeah. Literally the love guy, but just deuces, you know, like you had a great career already. Just walk out. Who cares? You know what I mean? Like, it's their fault if they can't draft the right people or sign the right people, or you know,
well, I mean,
at that point in time.
But the perfect example of that is Brett Favre, right? He kept retiring and coming back for like 4 or 5 years, and now he's a criminal. So maybe it's better that they play football.
You get bored very easily.
Start stealing money from poor people.
But,
like,
you know what the problem with criminality is like the guys don't even realize they're being criminals. They're like, wait a minute, we can't just redirect those funds. It's fine, right?
I mean, he kind of knew. There's
Right.
the text message that came out. Like, the media won't find out, right?
But it's like dumb enough not to like fully know, but he did know at the same time, you know. And he's like, well, you know, is it really a crime? And they're like, yes, Brett, it is. Like, but is it really? And it's like, no, Brett, yeah, it is. It's definitely a crime. Yeah. But you sure? Right? So I don't know. But that's like my spiel. Like you hold on 1 minute too long or 1 year too long, and then you look like a piece of shit on the back end. And that's the legacy you leave with everyone for at least the next 7 or 8 years until everyone forgets about you. You know,
you're not
wrong. That's a Hall of Fame thing.
I don't know. Like I said, there's the chance they become criminals. So
it's true.
Maybe it's better that they play football. Just some shitty football.
Are you just saying that Jimmy Garoppolo will have to stay a 49er so he doesn't become a criminal
forever and ever? Much to Tyler's chagrin.
He can't even be on another team. Yeah, it's just
nobody wants him,
dude.
Which actually worked out. Can you imagine if we traded him that first week?
I think we'd still be 4 and 5. Like,
who's the backup?
What difference is it? Like,
exactly my point.
We didn't score any points against the freaking Falcons. We didn't score any points against the freaking Chiefs, right? Like,
okay, in fairness, we were not healthy. We did not have a good run game.
Yeah, but the Falcons just lost to the fucking Panthers by like 25.
And we blew out the Panthers. So
I know. That's what I don't understand.
And now we have the best running back in football now.
My point is, and I said this over text message, we don't have the infrastructure and the coaching to, and definitely not the quarterback, to actually win a Super Bowl. We've gone to the NFC Championship like 7 times in the past like 15 years, and nobody can win a fucking Super Bowl. So who cares if we go to the fucking playoffs again? That's not the point. It's like a winning, or if we were the freaking the NSA, the Washington NSA, we'd care about going to the playoffs, right? Or the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? Also, is that racism against the Jaguars, like the Jaguar religion, faith?
Is it a faith or is it an animal?
It might be a religion and a faith. You never know. We can Google that.
True.
We'll get the research team on it.
Yeah, I was gonna say we gotta get a research squad. No, it's like there's certain levels of standards, right? Like the Steelers, you have a standard of like winning Super Bowls. The Cowboys, you used to have a standard of winning Super Bowls.
It's not the 90s.
Now it's just like, can we get past the first round of the playoffs? Right? Like
last year we beat them.
Right, but our standard is like, well, we should be in and winning Super Bowls because we always get close. But again, Kyle sucks as a coach in second halves, right? He's god awful in fourth quarters. And then Jimmy also sucks in fourth quarters. So those two things combined mean if we're in a close game, we're usually fucked by that point in time.
I mean, the thing that's the fault of Kyle is he just abandons the things that were so successful.
Well, he abandons
right when we need to be.
He abandons the things that are successful, and he calls the same 5 plays. You ever watch that? Like it's the same. It's like, okay, we're running slants. We run the zone.
He mixed it up the last time we played.
We run a jet sweep. That's it. He just runs the same 5 plays. It's like, dude, run one more pass play. It's like watching me play in Madden. Like I run 3 plays, and I score 4 points on the computer over like, a 20-minute game, like playing football in 1946,
Hey, whatever works.
We should get Kyle on the pod. That's
Also,
what.
Can we talk about the bullshit? Like everyone's like all five. Like this is my thing. Like I don't understand the pundits right now because they're like Niners are so dangerous. Like Kyle is the worst. Like he has a losing record as the coach for 5.5, almost 6 years. Like he does not have a winning record.
Okay,
Right?
in fairness, those were years
If he
where
was
you
a wizard,
don't have a quarterback.
if he was a wizard, we would have a winning record.
Yes, if he was Harry Potter.
You know who's a wizard? Freaking Bill Belichick. You know why Bill Belichick's a wizard? Because he took the shitty Browns back in the day and took them to a friggin' playoff game in a year and a half.
Oh, right? I figured it was because he keeps cutting the sleeves off of his sweatshirts.
No, maybe. Right? That guy, and he took the shitty Patriots and took them to a Super Bowl like immediately, right? Like, no, Kyle sucks. We have some of the best talent on the face of the earth, and we barely score like 20 points a game, I feel like, on a regular basis.
I feel like we're going to blow the Chargers out tomorrow night.
Kyle sucks. And when it starts to happen, I'm texting you. I'm saying, this guy fucking sucks. Right? Because he just, like, I don't get, everyone's like, Kyle Shanahan's a genius. I'm like, how do you, like, if you can't win a game without Jimmy Garoppolo, like, speaking of that, like, think about Jimmy Garoppolo for a second. Think about all the things he does poorly when the game comes out the line. If you can't,
but they can't win without him.
Like, everyone else is the same.
Thank you.
Exactly. So Kyle sucks too.
Have you seen the Niners record without Jimmy? It's like 3-42 or whatever.
My point is, both of them together is like watching a shit sandwich being made, right? You take shitty bread. You
still get a W, so I don't.
No.
Except in the playoffs.
Statistically speaking, they don't get W's, right? Like that's like.
Yes, they do. No Stat guy, where's the stats?
Kyle, look at the record. Pull the record up. Where's the research guy, right? And he's. Dude, what was the stat we saw the other day when the game was on? He's like, and what was it when they were behind going into the when they were behind going into the second half, he was like 0-30 or something like that.
Well,
like,
now they're 1-30. So
no, they were like 1-30. Yeah. It was really ugly.
So now they're 2-30.
You're a terrible football coach
but now they have the best running back in football.
We have better personnel right now.
Yeah, and Debo.
And
Kittle. Like we have the three.
We had the same personnel 3 years ago.
We didn't have McCaffrey.
Same guys. We had a running back who was running for 150 yards a game, Mostert, right? Raheem.
Oh yeah.
Like we had the same exact thing, and again, Bill blew it. Like, imagine having that same structure and probably a better offensive line and probably a slightly worse defense. Actually, our defense was really good that year. Our secondary was awful, but like think about that.
I mean, our defense is good.
0-30 if you're losing after the second quarter. That means you go into the locker room and you're supposed to make an adjustment and maybe you just sit there, right? And just, hey, I got 5.
And now he just sits there.
Right. But I got 5 plays instead of 4. I'm just going to call one extra one this half and see if it works, I don't think they'll figure it out. I'm an NFL coach and then they're an NFL defense, I don't buy into it.
Fucking hater.
Maybe that's why
what's the alternative? Like, what are we going to sign?
Yeah.
Another shitty coach, and then we're going to be 1-50. So Kyle is like,
and who are we going to sign? Who would you sign?
Yeah, what's the solution?
But if you, my point is, if you have 2 people who are horrible in the fourth quarter, like Jimmy and Kyle together, you lose games that you should never lose in a million years. For instance, last year we lose to the Rams after we're kicking the shit out of them the entire game, and then what? And then
because we stopped running the ball.
I'm aware of that. Terrible coach. This is my point. And then Jimmy throws a ridiculous pick. Terrible quarterback in the fourth quarter. Those 2 guys together lose you games when the defense is dominating or the running backs dominating, et cetera, et cetera. Watch it this weekend. I'm just saying. We'll get to the fourth.
I think they're going to blow them out.
And I want to see stats. Yeah, we better hope we have 40 points by the second quarter. Otherwise,
we're not scoring 40 points. Shauna, what's a blowout? What's a Niner blowout?
I think we'll win by 20.
20-10.
No way. There's no way we're winning by 20 points.
I think so. Our defense, everyone is healthy this week. It's the first time this year everyone has been healthy. We get Eric Armstead back. Mitchell is coming back for running back. We have another running back that we can use. Those things are huge. Debo's back.
McCaffrey.
And we have Christian McCaffrey.
You just said we have Mitchell and we have another running back we can use.
No, I meant Mitchell is another running back.
Left CMC out of the equation.
No.
Some guy named Mitchell.
I think he should be quarterback. Why not put CMC quarterback?
We're favored by 7.5 points.
See, 20.
Oh.
Soft 20. It's a soft 20.
Soft 20.
I don't want to spend an hour talking about this because you know the truth.
You're the one that keeps bringing it up.
You know the stats because the stats don't lie. Kyle, losing record. Kyle.
You got to talk to Colin Cowherd.
Not winning in the second quarter, losing, like, not even a losing record. Like, I don't ever fucking win ever. Right?
He stopped the streak.
So,
he stopped it against the Rams.
Jimmy, we all know fourth quarter Jimmy, with the one exception of it was like one time a year, everyone's like, oh my God, he's finally normal. And the next game, he's going to throw like 6 picks in the fourth quarter.
I think our stat guy is pulling up stats here.
He's going like this.
Well,
he's like, I don't know who to throw it to.
Anyway. I'm just looking at who's okay. So Keenan Allen's out for the Chargers. So
also,
that's their only running back.
Half their
is New Ward
Mike Williams. I mean they got the guys injured. I don't know, man. We're gonna win by like
this is turning into
7.5.
This is turning to NFL Live, by the way. Can we talk about like how the NFL sucks because everyone gets hurt every single week? Like, can they seriously change the turf? Like,
well, but did you see what they did? And it's one of those like, who knows if it's actually real. The players came out and were like, we get off turf, like their injuries are worse. And then the NFL came out and was like, no, it's not. It's exactly the same as grass.
Dude,
so I don't know if those statistics can be believed for obvious reasons. And the NFL track record.
Yeah. Hey, my head hurts. Nah, you're fine, man.
Exactly. Right.
I've been smashing my head against the wall for the past 30 years. Nah, it's all right. You'll be fine.
Right.
But the problem is they're building all these new indoor stadiums. So how do you grow grass inside?
You got to ask the grounds crew. I don't know.
Okay, hold on. It's not impossible to grow grass inside. What do you...
Weed.
You really just ask, how do you grow grass inside? Like, dude...
It's impossible.
Let some sunlight in. You do normal things. Oxygen. Like, what are you talking about? Grass doesn't just grow outside. That's not how that works.
What is this? A horticulture class?
I'm not a grass expert.
Is this a master class on how to grow glass?
And you have to grow glass. Jesus. We're growing glass. Glass comes from lightning strikes. I've seen that in what's it called? Sweet Home Alabama, right? I'm pretty sure that's the only way it works, right? You have to stand. Quite literally, it's amazing that the trains we go down here, the tangents. But you have to stand literally in the middle of a fucking thunderstorm, stick a rod up, and hopefully you don't get struck by lightning, and hopefully you make glass out of it.
Sounds dangerous.
Mobile can apparently grow glass, so
can grow grass inside.
We really need a research team. Like, we should be having people Googling things as we're saying stupid shit on the internet. That should be our next segment.
We're
going to say some stupid shit right now and figure out if it's true or not. 1, can you grow grass inside? 2, can I grow glass? That's another good one.
Modern technology, you don't know.
I have no idea.
Like, you never know.
I'm not going to pretend like I don't know. Like, you might be right. I don't know if you can grow grass inside. I'm going to presume you can. I know they grow weed
Let's
inside.
check out the
I think you need like sunshine to grow grass. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but a lot of these places aren't like full-blown domes.
Hold on. There are a wide range of indoor grass varieties.
There we go.
So
Can you play football? Can you play football on it?
I saw that in the movie Interstellar with Matthew McConaughey.
Oh God.
Great movie, by the way. I'm ready for a Netflix segment, by the way, if you guys want to transition into that. Whatever our transition music is.
All right.
Doodly-doo.
What's new on Netflix? Okay, so I'm gonna give you guys. Have you guys seen Love Is Blind at any point in time?
No.
Okay, so first of all,
maybe
I would consider there's different tiers.
I don't watch like reality shows like that.
Sure, there's reality shows.
Oh, I haven't seen it. No, I haven't seen
The Bachelorette.
So there's different tiers of reality shows, right? And Shauna, Twitter was ablaze for this. So this is why I was bringing it up.
I saw it.
There's a reality shows, right? Love Is Blind is like, it's still kind of fucked up because you're watching people just try to be in love and it's all a mess and you're recording everything. And then there's like Fuckboy Island, right? Where it's a great show because
was it a great show?
No, it's a great show because it's not like The Bachelorette where everyone's full of shit, right? On The Bachelorette and The Bachelor, everyone's just there to get famous, right? They're there to fall in love. They're all remotely hot people. They're all like, people have treated me horribly. I'm here to fall. Like, get the fuck out of here. Right? Like these people on
My
FYI
favorite,
are like,
my favorite part
I'm
of like
hot.
my favorite part of the Bachelor, right? So the man is the one looking for love. And every girl on there is like, I just turned 21 and I'm looking for a husband. And you're like, honey, go live your
never
life.
been able to find love.
Okay. So I need to interject. So you know Adam Gottschalk from high school?
Yeah, he was on there. Yeah.
Adam Gottschalk?
Yeah.
He was on The Bachelorette, got kicked out. Then he was on the other show with like the Love Island thing.
Oh, okay.
He got voted. He didn't get the rose or whatever.
I didn't know.
But anyway,
I didn't know if it's a big difference between kicked out and voted out. You know, it's like.
Well, So he was on that like Love Island show.
Yeah.
And he met his now wife on that show. So I guess reality TV works. Yeah.
It works.
We should do a research. Where's our research guy? We have to figure out how well it works compared to Tinder and Grindr and Bumble. Like statistically
horrible statistics to look up.
Well, like, okay, so anyway,
farmers only.
My point is in terms of like there's a lot of reality television shows now that are just like The Bachelor, Bachelorette, except for they are little tweaks, right? So in levels of just ridiculousness, FY Island's like right at the top because it's just like a bunch of hot people going, man, we're terrible people. Let's see if we cannot have sex with each other. Like that's the whole point of the show. Okay, and then it's like Too Hot to Handle, where it's also a lot of hot people trying not to have sex with each other, but they're also trying to fall in love. And then it's Love is Blind, where it's a bunch of almost hot people, and I would say almost hot people, right? So they get in a pod, they talk to each other, and they go, are we following love? And then 2 days later, they go, oh, we're going to get married, which we all know that's fucking crazy, but whatever. So anyway.
It always works.
So this guy, I'm just going to briefly explain what happened here. This guy is a realtor. He's 26 years old. His name's Cole. Okay. Cole didn't do a great job at like keeping his mouth shut a lot of times. So he asked this one woman, Zainab, to marry him. Sorry. And then they get engaged and they go on like a little honeymoon. And during the honeymoon, he's like, man, like, I just want to find a girl. I'm like, I love having this emotional relationship with her. And then she's hot. And I wish I could find the perfect girl. And I think he was just fucking around. But like, either way, kind of a piece of shit comment, right?
Kind of fucked up.
So anyway, so they get all down the line. They go to get married, like marriage day, and she just like rips him. She goes on like TV. She goes, you ruined my self-esteem. You gave me an eating disorder. And everyone's like, what the fuck? Because you didn't see this on the show. So this is fucking nuts, by the way. You guys got to watch this. You even just watch the end of it. Because so they get into a reunion, right? And the entire 45 minutes of the reunion are these people just ripping this guy Cole. Be like, Cole, you're a piece of shit. She has an eating disorder. You told her she was fat all the time. And he was like, what the fuck? And
oh my God.
He ends up crying for like 15 minutes. Okay. So I'm sitting there talking to Cindy and I was like, this guy seems like kind of an idiot. Like he doesn't like process what he's saying a lot of the times. But like, I can't imagine he sat there and told her, like there was a story that she said, and she was like crying. She goes, you told me one time that me having 2 oranges was too much to eat and I should put it down. And I was like, wow, that's an extreme example. And I'm like, if someone actually did that, that's fucking crazy. So anyway, check this shit out because everyone was jumping on Cole. Like everyone's like, he's a typical guy. He's a total piece of shit. So at the very end, they show the clip. Like it's a deleted scene. He is in the kitchen. She takes out 2 oranges and he goes, like completely jokingly, by the way, if you're watching that, he goes, oh, you're going to have 2 oranges? He's like, watch out. You know, you're going to have a big appetite later. We got a big brunch later. And she was like that. So it's like, it was a mind-blowing thing where this guy didn't do anything along those lines. And he literally, no. So, okay. You'd have to watch it because you would know what I was talking about. Because right before that, she goes, I'm only eating this because it's only this amount of calories. And he goes, why are you only eating that? Like, shouldn't you be eating more? And he says this. Okay, Shauna, you're not, you have to see this to see what I'm talking about. I'm explaining it poorly.
Right.
We'll link it in the description.
Yeah, because I will 100% send you the video because if you see what I'm talking about, you can clearly tell when someone's joking and when someone is talking about a certain thing. And this woman, I swear to God, was like out to get this man. Like it was unbelievable.
Had she expressed, had she expressed at all that she had eating troubles?
No.
In their falling in love?
No. Not today. No, again, I know. See, this is my point, right? It's like there's an inherent like your reaction right now is like, of course this guy's a piece of shit, right?
No, that's not what I'm thinking. I'm just like some of that. That's what I'm saying. Like my point is, that's why I asked the question. If she had expressed in the pods there, where they supposedly don't see each other, whatever the case is, if she had like expressed that she has some eating troubles or some trouble with her body or anything along those lines,
Right.
and then he kind of makes those jokes, no, that will set someone off.
Yeah.
If she never expressed that and he's just kind of joking around, then it's not great.
But
you can find funnier things, I think.
So it's like to that point in time, it's like, well, inherently it's not the guy's fault at this point in time for like joking around and being like, and I don't think they ever expressed those things together. Like they were only together for like 4 weeks, But I'm telling you, Shauna, you should see this. I'm going to send you the video because she makes it sound like he like was beating her basically and verbally abusing her.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's my point.
You'll watch the thing and you'll be like, what the fuck? Like,
but how much is just like it's just like editing for the reality TV show? They're just trying to get you to retain watching the video.
No, you're right. So she goes inside of the reunion. She goes, there were so many scenes that they didn't show. And all her girlfriends were like, yeah, you fucking suck. We've seen it all. And then they showed the scene that she was talking about. She's like, it was specific with this orange thing. Like, you told me not to eat. You called me fat, basically. And he was like,
oh, so she's still mad about it.
Oh, hell yeah.
She's salty.
Like,
wow.
Okay. Just watch the reunion. The entire reunion is her ripping this fucking guy. And then her cronies ripping the guy.
Her cronies.
And then they show, so to your point, Gold, they show the deleted scene because I'm like, man, maybe this guy is a piece of shit and he's just playing it off and they deleted some things. Again, I feel like I'm very blunt, but I have a hard time just going to people like, you're eating that? Like, what the fuck's wrong with, like, and I know that exists.
That's a big sandwich.
No, it's like, oh, you want to really put that piece of cheese on there? It's like, fuck, you got to be really fucked up in the head to say stuff like that. And again, I know people exist like that. I 100% agree with that. But they showed this scene, and I was like, fucking shit, man, that's tough because this guy didn't say anything. I mean, like
he clearly wasn't being malicious.
No, it wasn't even close. Like, again, he asked her, why aren't you eating more? And she's like, well,
so part of this, like, I don't want to, quote unquote victim blame, but part of this is on her. If you have eating problems, which it clearly sounds like she does, and then you go on camera or you're trying, like,
yeah,
that ain't gonna work for you.
And the funny thing is, she's like, she was a curvy woman, like curvy, like she just had curves, like she wasn't overweight or anything, like, but she, like, it's okay, like, if you have sensitivities to stuff like that. But also on the back end, you're making someone else seem like shit for something that you didn't do or they didn't do.
I'm just saying, like, if
that's fucked up, right?
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, if you have those issues, which plenty of people do, especially women, maybe don't put yourself in that position where you're scrutinized that heavily on the way you look.
And you'll see her too. You'll see her too. Like, she's curvy, but she's a very attractive woman.
Yeah.
And clearly, there's a lot of things in the past that happened, right? But
man, obviously,
I mean, this was one of the most malicious, like, really just mind fucking things I've seen. Because I'm watching going, oh my God, this is so, because the worst thing was she turned every single person in that room on him.
Right.
And she made him look like, and he's 25 years old, right?
Mob mentality.
Dude, she made him look like it was like, I'm trying to think of who, I don't know. It was like him and Harvey Weinstein right here. Like, that was, I'm dead serious. Like, out of that thing, it was like, yeah, those two guys on the same level, right? Maybe Trump, like, right below him, right? Like, but I'll send the clips because again, if you put Cole into Twitter, no, seriously, if you put Cole into Twitter, the craziest thing is there's a lot of women on Twitter who was like, man, that was fucked. Like this guy. I
mean, you can always find reasonable people.
Yeah, but it's just,
believe it or not.
I'm thinking to myself, I was just trying to be like, because I'm trying to be like impartial, and I'm like, I agree with you, Gold. I'm like, there's a lot of shit they'd leave out, and I'm just like, it's hard for
they want to cast a villain in these shows. Yeah,
that's what I mean. But it's hard for me to believe that guy behind the scenes was just like saying all of that stuff, and then it never materialized in like 2 months between those people, because eventually something slips out or someone catches something. Anyway, maybe there's another scene where he was being a piece of shit and they left it out. I have no idea. Anyway, but I'll send it to you guys.
We'll never know.
Yeah. But this is the challenging thing. Like, we've always talked about this. This is the challenging thing with, like, you know, we all know this, but like sexual assault cases and things like this on college, like we've all seen both.
You never know the facts. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I've been in person, and I've seen someone completely lie about someone else while I was there to the police, and that was like mind blowing, right? I've also seen women in front of me like talk to other people with lots of money about how much they want to take their shit and have their babies, and like that's scary as well. But also on the other end, there's a lot of things, as we've talked about, that aren't reported for certain reasons. They're not. I mean, that's also horrible. So it's a bunch of he said, she said, and you never know until you get the video. And then when the video shows, you're like, fuck, you know. Anyway, so that's
like you said, that's the hardest. Yeah, that's the hardest part. Is it's one person's word against another, one person's perception of what happened versus another. It's hard to pin down.
Well, and this ended up being that opposite reaction, which is like, I mean, it wasn't just the women who were ganging up on him too; it was all the guys. They were like, "You suck, man. Fuck you." It's like, Jesus Christ. And but you can clearly tell that. I mean, I think people were saying they had seen things, and they really hadn't. You know, they were just saying like, "Hey."
It's mob mentality.
Right. Yeah. So anyway,
what it sounds like is, you get that snowball rolling.
I mean, I can't tell you the last time I did this with a show I watched on Netflix. I was watching it, like even Jeffrey Dahmer, right? He's murdering a bunch of people. And I'm like, all right, just next episode, you know. But
we get it, Jeff.
Talk about this, you know. Okay, Jeff, great. You murdered like 17 people the exact same way. You put them in things. Like, could have been condensed into 2 episodes, right? So my point with that is like, this is the first time in a long time I've gotten out of a Netflix show, and I was like mind fucked, because I was like, man, they spent like 3 whole hours just talking shit about this guy. And on the back end, the producers had the info, like they had that material.
But that's Goebel's point.
They could have easily,
but that's what they want.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They could have easily taken that deleted scene, Goebel, and they could have showed it while the people were in the room, because they were showing scenes, right, while they were doing the review.
But then it doesn't go viral. It doesn't blow up on Twitter. It doesn't.
You know who's the fucking worst?
And we're not talking about it.
You know,
we're not talking about it. And people don't go watch it. The whole thing.
Yeah, right. And you know who's the worst? Fucking producers. 2 big fuck yous to producers of things, because it's like what we were talking about 2 weeks ago with the what's it called, the kids who were stealing everything in Woodland Hills.
Oh yeah, the bling ring.
The bling ring.
They're like, this is fucking great. They're going to jail. They're on Facebook, and they're like, this is TV gold. And like, you again, 2 big fucking.
Well, that's the whole. That's the whole. Any press is good press. Dude. Even if it's negative, right? Like that's what this is.
Yeah.
And it'll drive people to the show, right? Like Goebel and I haven't seen it. Now we may go watch it. Drives up Netflix numbers. It's the whole domino.
And our millions of subscribers will also go to the show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you can sign up for Netflix today for only $14.99 with the link in the description.
Sponsored by Cole from Love Is Blind. Dude, so Cindy, shortly afterwards, we had like a little bit too much wine that day, and Cindy slid into his DMs on Instagram. she goes, we just want you to know we support you. I thought that was hysterical. I was like, I'm totally
solidarity, man.
I'm like, if that guy's sad right now, and he's like, if this just came out, like, I feel like he needs more of those, you know.
That's hilarious.
But like, again, it's one of those things where, and I don't mean to ramble about this, but like, it's one of those things where it's like, he was definitely not at fault for some things. Like, he said some stupid shit, but like, he didn't need to be dragged like that. Like, that was full blown lying. That was trying to get, you know, clicks and views, and by her, and she's probably walking out just like this, you know. Also, speaking of,
no, she has an eating disorder now.
Speaking of, I'll send you another video of this, but inside of that, the pods, right? And this one guy comes out, and he didn't get married to anyone. His name's Andrew. He's an Asian guy. And
Andrew.
He comes out, and they show a deleted scene of him, and he's in between scenes putting eye drops in his eyes, and he goes, okay, can you see that? And it's like fake crying. And so he goes, and he's like, I really loved her. And everyone's like, what the fuck, man? So, I mean, kudos to the producers for finally showing some of those things. Also, not kudos for holding off on one of the other things. You're still the worst people in the world, because you control the narrative.
They manipulate media.
Exactly. And that's the media in a nutshell.
Exactly.
Like, I just can't stand it. The more I think about the media.
Except our producer. We love our producer. Not to be named.
And our research guy. I think you're the producer, right, Tony?
DVD.
Tony's going to leave out that.
I don't know.
And we're just going to talk about Jimmy Garoppolo. That's our whole podcast. How much I hate Jimmy Garoppolo.
Hey man, that's my guy.
I need him to. I need someone to order me a shirt. I hate Jimmy G.
I bet there are a ton of them online.
I hate fourth.
There's going to be a link in the description.
But Shauna, you should look up. So look up on Twitter right now, since we have a Twitter segment. Look up Cole from Love Is Blind, and you'll see like a litany of tweets about how fucked up that was. So anyway, that's the. All right. So that's Netflix in a nutshell. Really nothing new happening on Netflix other than that.
Oh, but Love Is Blonde.
Oh, that's up there with Fuckboy Island. It's right below. All right. So what else?
Looking for
into the new segment.
All I want for Christmas is Jimmy
up
G.
On Love Is Blind. I don't...
What does it say under that? What is that, Bartiz?
It says, "I'm the kind of person that is attractive. # Love Is Blind."
So that might be.
There we go. Twitter reaction.
Speaking of, okay, you guys got to watch the whole season now, because there's one guy on there, Bartiz. He was the worst out of all the guys, because what he do
is Zanab the girl?
Yes.
Okay.
The girl, yeah. But this guy Bartiz, he was the worst, because what he'd do is he would say fucked up things in a nice way. So check this out, Shauna. Goldie, you probably heard stuff like this, right? Like he would go. He was getting married to Nancy, and he goes, "Nancy, I love like our relationship. We had such a good connection. It was typical like Gen Z shit. We had a good connection. I love the way we vibed, right?" But he goes, "I just don't feel the physical connection right now, and I just don't find you physically there. We're not physically there yet." And it's just like, so you called her ugly.
Jesus Christ.
Like, can we not, like, that's the kind of fucked up shit that really messes with people long term, right? When someone's saying something really fucked up to you, but doesn't say it in a fucked up way.
Because they say it in like a nice way.
Yeah,
the backhanded compliment, I believe, is what it's called.
Nancy gets to the altar and she's like, "Hey, I still love this guy." And I'm like, "This guy's the worst." Like, he apparently was at like they went to a strip club after they went to their bachelor party, and he's like having girls grind up on him. It's like, guys. And then he comes back and he's like, "Nancy, I really care about you, and I care about your future. And I just think we're there, but we're not there physically. And I want to be there physically with you like 2 or 3 years from now." And it's just like, oh, it's just awful. Like, he said no on the thing.
Can we interpret what that is? I like you, and you're kind of the settled down type, but I'm gonna go fuck a bunch of women in the meantime.
Right, which is why I like Fuckboy Island.
That's what that is.
That's why I like Fuckboy Island, because at least those people say it. Right? They're just like, "Man, I don't find you physically attractive."
And we're moving on.
Like, that's it. Or I don't find you mentally, like, you're not there for me at all. Like, you're pretty much a dummy at that point in time. But like, I just can't stand that bull. Like, that guy to me was like, he's like Emperor Palpatine. He is, because Emperor Palpatine.
Here we go.
Right, "Hey Luke, you're doing good, man. Hey, you're fine. Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah." Oh, and I fucking go, it's like out of nowhere. You will die. But it's like all the backhanded shit and the shit that's like, again, that fucks with you way more than anything else does. But again, if I make a recommendation, you guys need to watch that season, because the first couple episodes were kind of boring.
We're buying it.
Than the last few.
We're in. It's in the description. If you could figure out how to get us the link, we'll put it on the internet.
To the whole show?
Love Is Blind.
No, to the pod. To the pod, man.
Oh,
and the Love Is Blind.
Sponsored by
all
Cole,
the above.
The Love Is Blind.
Yeah.
# support Cole.
Oh God.
I saw the t-shirt. Could share my screen inside the recording. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that. Anyway.
Yeah. But I wonder if that works in like the share your screen thing in the recording, and it works just like normal. So, but anyway, that's Netflix in a nutshell. That's Netflix. Do we have like a song? That's Netflix. This week, Tyler's watched all the Netflix shows. He tells you which ones are fucked up and not.
Tyler's in charge of music for the show.
Yeah, but we could even have it'd be better if it was just like me doing that in the background.
I like it. We gotta pre-record it.
Yeah, like Netflix. Love Is Blind. Sponsor us now. And that's super easy to put in, inside all the game breaks. All right.
Game breaks.
So abortion.
Are we abortion? Yeah, let's.
Well, what's funny?
Great topic.
We can tie it in.
You know what's funny about abortion?
No. It kind of ties in.
Oh,
No, what
Well,
I was going to say is it ties into kind of the stream of what we've been talking about, which is like media manipulation and pundits and, leaving things out and people taking dumb guesses, the whole thing. So voting midterms was on Tuesday, but a lot of states you can vote early. You can drop a ballot in the box. You can vote for
in the box. What's in the box?
What's in the box? Gwyneth Paltrow's head.
Most of the time.
Oh, wow.
For all those in our pod from
spoiler alert,
who haven't seen Seven.
We instantly just
SE7 and then hold on.
Yeah.
Yep.
How do you spell that? VEN. There we go.
S. Yeah.
I think it's SE7EN.
That's where I get lost in the middle. Yeah, it's
wow. Not the point.
There's supposed to be a V there, but there's a 7, and that doesn't make sense. So, but it does. So, just for all our Angolese listeners, right, hold on. Hold on? We got to Google what Angola. I'm going to Google what Angola is. It Angolese? Angolese, yeah, they're
Angolai.
Nice. Oh, okay. For all our Angolese listeners, check that out. 7.
Nailed it.
The 7 in the middle, the number 7.
So, in a lot of states, right? So in the summer, Roe versus Wade was overturned in the Dobbs decision by the Supreme Court. Shout out to those assholes. And a lot of states were like, we got to do something. In some states, some Republican-led legislatures went to the extreme and were like, we're going to outright ban it, right? Texas.
Legislature. That's fun.
Lettuce.
That could be a good
Texas.
A legislature.
I can't talk. Texas took it to another level and put a bounty on women, which is like so fucking creepy. And a couple other states were following that model. And then once it was overturned, you started to hear stories come out, like the 10-year-old in, I believe it was Ohio, that couldn't get an abortion in the state. Right. There was another woman, I believe in Illinois, that was like carrying a dead fetus in her womb because the state wouldn't allow abortions. So these stories were starting to come out. And so this is over the summer and then like into September, and Democratic numbers went up, all that. Abortion was a big deal. And then that started to decline, right? Gas prices went up. Inflation is still very high. So people started to focus on that. So in the pundit class, specifically men in the pundit class, started to say before the election that abortion wasn't important, right? Nobody's going to show up for this. Women don't care. They care about kitchen table issues. So it turns out that was wholly wrong. What?
Sorry. Kitchen table issues. It's like that's what
they call
sexist, it. But yeah, well, that's what I mean. It's
that's what they call it, right?
And that's regular. Why does it have to be can it just be
men
a
in
table?
Particular. Yeah. So a couple of Sundays ago, they have those Sunday shows, political shows, and Chris Christie, the former governor of New Jersey, was on there. It was him and a panel full of women. And he goes, I just don't think it's that important. Nobody cares about this. And do you see all the women in the panel like, the fuck are you talking about? But anyway, so there was a lot of talk about that on TV, online, the whole thing, on Twitter. Nobody cares about this. So in 5 different states, abortion access was passed, whether it was enshrined in the Constitution, or limits, or there were no limits that were going to be passed. And, the states that stand out, you have a Kentucky passed it. They still voted for Rand Paul or whatever the freaking his name is.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Exactly.
Rand. Can we look that up? The origins of
Rand. But they voted for, they were the Kentucky legislature was going to put more restrictions.
Legislature.
We're going to put more restrictions.
Are we having lettuce later tonight? Is that what's going on? No, it's lettuce. All right, we'll segue later to lettuce, but let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah, hold on.
Anyway,
but like in Kentucky, that passed, right? Michigan and California passed to put it in the Constitution. Montana rejected a bill that was going to criminalize abortion. It was going to criminalize women and the doctors.
Didn't Kansas do that as well? Or they reaffirmed
Kansas did that over the summer. Yeah.
Reaffirmed a constitutional amendment from like 18.
Yeah. And like before the Kansas one, and just like this one, everyone was like, it's either not going to pass or it's going to be really close and it'll probably won't pass. The Kansas one passed 60-40.
Yeah.
Like
that's crazy.
Close. Here in California, it was up near 70-30, which may not be surprising for California, but like Michigan, it was those type of numbers. So, you know, like you were talking about.
My question is, who is voting against these? Like
people
like
that are
Christian conservatives,
Cole from Public Blind.
Cole.
Yeah, he's the guy.
It's primarily,
but Cole's not voting.
Yeah. It's primarily driven by Christian conservatives. So, for example, the woman in Michigan that was running for governor against Gretchen Whitmer, Tudor Dixon. That's a whole fucking. I can't talk.
We got a lot of names today, man.
She's the head of the legislature.
I'm trying to remember all these. She was asked.
The whole segment on Shauna fucks words up.
I can't spell it.
Draft picks. Shauna fucking words up. Legislator. Anyway, yeah.
She was asked in an interview, like, if a 14-year-old is raped, why can't that kid get an abortion? Like, why are you against that? And she was like, well, you know, the baby shouldn't be punished for the sins of the father. And like 14, fuck right off. So like that type of extreme thing. And you know, like we were talking about earlier, in the pundit class, if you watch TV, if you looked on Twitter, and all the professionals that deal with politics were like, this isn't going to matter. Nobody cares. It's not going to bring people out. But it did. It was the number one issue in Pennsylvania to vote on. The majority, like it was the number one issue. It was like abortion, democracy, and like crime. You know,
like abortion, democracy, and crime. It was what we're talking about the other day.
Not inflation.
A majority of half the people in Pennsylvania. Right? 40. Well, that's the realism of voting in America in general, because you know, the challenge you're dealing with, Shauna, is the fact that every state is very different, but a lot of the states believe more firmly in like the libertarian kind of thought process, right? Which is more of the leave me the fuck alone kind of thought process.
Which did help this cause.
Right. So like Nevada makes it like they're like, well, who gives a shit about abortion? Leave us the fuck alone. Kansas, you know, you'd be surprised by that. But then there's, you know, you get in the middle of the country around the Bible Belt around here, and it's strictly related to, it's religious conservatism. It's not actually, it's not, because like true conservatism is like, again, leave me the fuck alone, basically. Like, don't make any rules. And
that's taxes. Well, and that's been some of the irony of some of these bans, some of the bans on LGBTQ issues. Like,
and this is what happens when you have as we've talked about, the general structure of the United States government doesn't work because there's equal representation for unequal amounts of people.
Populations.
So if you have
absolutely.
So if you have 25 states that all have like 25 people in them, and they all have equal.
No, I saw before the election. Obviously, I live in Los Angeles, California, and there was a picture going around social media that was like, here's Los Angeles County and its population, and here's like 32 states that have a lower population than Los Angeles County.
You know, so you get weird, whacked out representations of people. You know, and then those people have the power to do things in Congress or do things to appoint judges and et cetera, et cetera. And it's the same shit with the student loan thing. Like,
well, and a big problem in this country is a lot of people don't vote.
Right.
You know.
True, but my point is, with that structure of how things are, like even if I voted here, if I voted in Southern California, it doesn't mean nearly as much as if I voted over here, right?
No, exactly.
In bumfuck Tennessee, right? And not even like in Nashville, like in, you know, on the outskirts, getting closer to Alabama, right? Like that has way more of an effect than anything does. So you could have, I mean, shit, you could have the whole rest of the United States move to California and it still wouldn't matter. And that's why you keep getting pissed off.
You still get 2 senators.
Well, that's what I mean. And you're still going to get pissed off about things, and you'll have more, you know, House of Representatives in the legislature.
The lettuce.
But
haters.
At the same point in time, you know, you have people that will, this is my general disdain for this type of thing. Like, this is my whole point with all the conversations we always have, which is you have people like Herschel Walker who have asked certain people to get abortions, who say, I don't like abortions, to get votes. and to get votes from a certain crowd of people that they believe are going to get them in the office, whether it works or not.
Because he's been forgiven or whatever the fuck.
Lauren Boebert, right? She's just saying whatever the fuck comes to mind, like whatever comes up on her.
She had to like retry to get her GED like 3 times before she went to Congress. Like Jesus Christ!
But it's like there's a
unbelievable.
Back in the day, there's a Family Guy episode which perfectly explains this. Right, Lois tries to run for office.
Oh, 9/11.
Yeah, no, it is. She tries for like 3 straight things about being logical and having like good ideas for people, and they're like, and then she just goes 9/11.
Yeah,
and then she goes terrorism. Because people are afraid of certain things propagated by the media, right? And then they vote for things that they don't understand. And again, voting for crime. Like, what does that even mean? Explain that to me.
I was
right?
happy
you vote for no crime. Like, good luck with that,
Well, I was happy to see a little bit because the media is fucked in this country, but they're like kind of sort of trying to figure it out every once in a while.
Yeah.
But starting in September, October, there was a lot of talk about inflation, right? And inflation. And Republicans were hammering it. Rightfully so, fine.
I hate inflation. Yeah, absolutely.
But if you stopped and asked them, like, what's your plan? And they were like,
oh yeah. Well,
Joe Biden's fault. Like, you don't have a plan.
Well, it's funny. Like, I was talking to my buddy Holstegi, and they have a very conservative family up in because his dad, like, this is my thing. His dad's a business owner. They get screwed over by taxes on a regular basis. They don't see any, like, voted for Obama a couple times. It's these people who are flipped back and forth for various reasons. And a lot of that has come down to taxes, right? And I was talking to him, and he's like, yeah, maybe it'll be a little bit better when things switch. I'm like, explain to me how that, like, seriously. They're not going to do anything you can't do anything about what's happening right now. It's physically impossible, fiscally impossible.
Well, there's so many global things that are happening that are outside of our country. Yeah,
you sure as shit can't get people in there that their whole pretense of running the government is to not do anything. You can't get them to do things.
Govern. They're not going to govern.
Yeah, it's like we have inflation. Let's just hang on. Let's just hang on tight.
No, what they're going to do is they're going to investigate Hunter Biden.
Right. Well, I think it was how many years ago? God, it might have been 7-8 years ago. I don't know. I lost all track of time after 2020. I have no idea what's going on.
That's facts.
But there's a guy in Kansas who got elected, and he literally torched their entire government within like 6 months. Kind of like
there's a whole book about it. What happened?
Kind of like a Liz Truss style, because his whole plan was just to lower taxes. And there was no game plan to get money back. He was like, fucking just lower taxes, man. Like, no, that's not how that works.
We'll grow the economy, and it's like that's not. No, all corporations do when they get a tax cut is do stock buybacks forever and ever. Amen.
So that's my point. If you were to lower taxes, like, again, a lot of the people I work with, they're in that $5 to $100 million space, whatever it might be, and it's like that's still, by the time you pay all your bills, do your expenses, pay taxes, it's hard as hell to make a profit off of those things and pay for people to work. Like, it's pretty incredible.
We've talked about this. I have no problem with restructuring small business taxes. I think that should happen.
And there's a lot of advantages to owning a small business. I mean, you can pretty much write off damn near everything, right? It's pretty incredible. And the government doesn't come after you very often because they just don't have the manpower to do so. But yeah, it doesn't fix the biggest problem. And that's like every legislative thing. It never fixes the biggest problem. Getting rid of student loans is not fixing a bigger problem, right? The bigger problem is twofold in student loans. One, you have to get a college education to do literally anything, as evidenced by the shit my wife went through. And then two, like, colleges are just going to keep raising rates because of that, and rent, basically.
Right.
So
it's like we've talked about before. I mean, the cost of education when our parents were in college compared to when we went to college, compared to now, it's like, you could work a part-time job and go to college and not have student loans. But nowadays, it's like you're going to have student loans forever because college costs 100 times as much.
Well, I know it really started to get worse when we were there, like in college in those years, and then like in the, kind of the end of your years, Shauna. But like, I know my tuition went up like $10,000 in like 2 years. At some point in time, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, and nothing. They didn't change anything.
I went to a California state school, Fresno State, and it was a big deal in the last
for all our Angolan listeners who don't know what that is.
Well,
the Angolese, I'm sorry. What if we
ever? It was like the last 3 years they were hiking up the tuition because California had stopped kind of subsidizing the colleges and the student loan thing. Like it was it was bad.
Well, and another thing happened in that time period too, because we had the economic recession in 07, 08. So a lot of people lost their job and went back to school. So school was in high demand.
Very true.
So yeah, they could jack up the prices because people were going to go back to school.
Yeah, and you didn't
So
really have another choice. Yeah.
Right, but you also need to have a chain at the top. Again, you can't have corporations bringing people in just because they have fucking bachelor's degrees. It's completely it's pure insanity. Like to say that I could sit there in a job that I'm not qualified for whatsoever, and because I went to school longer than everybody else, that makes me qualified. It's fucking ridiculous. Like in any other structure, it's like Jeff Saturday getting a getting a job. Literally,
Did
this is
you
the equivalent.
see-
You want to talk about white privilege? Like that's Jeff Saturday getting a job, right? It's like,
Did you
hey, I
see-
played football for a while.
I can't
I went to
remember who
college.
it was. I think it might
Yeah.
have been like one of their former teammates
I
or
hope he's
whatever.
really good and proves me wrong, by the way. I just want to point that out. But I like
Or somebody that like works, you know, in the NFL or whatever. He came out and said he was like, you don't just get to hire your drinking buddy as a head coach.
yeah.
He literally said that.
Like, you know what it reminded me of? Except for it would have been, it's like Ted Lasso. It's like the exact same Ted Lasso situation, right? Except
Oh
for
yeah.
better
At
if they
least Ted
hired him.
Lasso was a successful coach
Yeah,
before
except for it would have been better
soccer.
it would have been better if Ursay hired Bob Melvin. It's like, well, he's been really successful in this sport. Like, why did or hired Dusty Baker after he won the World Series?
There we go.
That would have been. I would have loved that because that would have been a great. Because he was still successful. And then you're like, man, this guy's fucking amazing. But no, it's like it's the same. You don't fix the crux of the issue, which again is the presumption that all of a sudden, again, in the late 90s, early 2000s, the presumption became as long as you get a college degree, you are nth degree better than everyone else. And even if you have 15, 20 years of experience, right? And if you get multiple college degrees, then you're nth whatever degrees. So how does that, one, make your company run better? Two, how does that help the student loan problem at all? If anything, I'm going to go get more student loans out because I'm going to make X amount of money on the back end, hopefully. Right. Which again, if you were really running a business as yourself, it's a horrible decision to take out that much student loans at that interest rate and not get anything back from it.
Yeah, but when you're 18, you don't know that
quite yet. You don't understand the math when you're 18 years old. I will say, and the problem with everybody who went to college is now we're in this weird bind 10, 15 years 10, 15 years later, nobody has skill jobs, and people who are carpenters, electricians, mechanics, plumbers, etc., are making twice, 2, 3, 4 times as much as people who went to college.
Roofers.
Yeah, it's really like, and that's going to be that's going to be the downfall of our generation. Is just there's this huge gap of people who don't have skills who can build shit.
Also, what you saw this last year too was people realizing that they're fucked and they don't make enough money to do what they needed to do, and then they change jobs. That was it. I mean, that's what you're really seeing. You're going like, well, I'm getting paid 50 grand. I took out 90 grand of student loans because you told me I had to. What am I doing with my life?
Well, it's like you said, you have nothing in return. I mean, there's a very small margin of people who have something in return for that $100,000 of student loan debt.
Doctors,
like
real doctors, not like
lawyers,
doctorates. Yeah.
Lawyers.
Yeah, exactly. So no, so it's like it's this thing, but again, it doesn't fix the issue, right? It's like no. So that's like
it's a Band-Aid on a bullet hole.
Right. So it's the same thing. And again, this is where it sounds like a crazy tangent, but this is where it ties in with voting, right? This has been an issue since fucking 1770. Or sorry, 1790, right? When they first constructed the United States of America.
Not that long, because I don't think we had education back then.
No, you're not listening. I'm talking about the voting thing, because that's where it plugs in, right? You're not fixing the systemic issue, right? Which the systemic issue created back in the 1790s was that the people down here, because they owned slaves and they were basically blackmailing you to leave the Union on a regular basis, they got more control and more votes, even though they had fewer people. Or I'm sorry, they had people.
3/5 of a people, I
believe. Oh, I own 200 of these people. I'm going to count them as 2/3 of a person. Like, look at that fucking agreement, right? Like, they didn't put that in fucking Alexander Hamilton at all. But they skipped over that part. But you have this structure that was created and it has grown, and it still is like that. So you have things that don't make any sense. You have 80% of people who want some sort of gun control, but that doesn't get reflected in the legislator, right? So nothing happens, right? 80% of people or 60% of people or 65% of people would like some sort of freedom to, or at least ease of access for women's healthcare. Doesn't happen, right? Even even just healthcare, like, doesn't fucking happen, right? Because that's the structure. So if you even keep voting, it doesn't do anything on the back end because the structure's fucked. Right? And so there's the crux of the issue from my perspective. And also I think every politician's a piece of shit, except for Katie Porter.
Love her.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the update? We need a update on Katie Porter
on the Twitter machine.
Did
she get fired? Or what did we say earlier?
Is she losing?
Goebel said that they got kicked off or whatever. Like she didn't get
the what's going on? Like what? She is she's up by 3 points. What are you talking about?
3 percentage points?
It was this morning. She was down earlier.
It's all the fake votes.
All the fake votes.
Stop the count.
Stop the count.
47th. She's in the 47th district. Oh my God. Do you guys
are we getting inaccurate reporting here? What's going on?
This is just Google, man. Like,
I'm not in Shauna. She's the Twitter.
I'm looking. It says she's leading.
How do we get fireworks on the Goebel? That's where you give in the producer.
Pew, pew,
pew. That's probably not a good one. The guns, right? Katie Porter, rock and roll, saving the country, one jelly sandwich at a time.
No, Katie one Porter. Whiteboard at a time. Excuse you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But here's the thing: it's
called
67%. They're at 67%. They've counted those votes since Tuesday, and that's like 200,000 votes. Like, why is it taking so long?
Well, I can tell you why.
They're still doing it by hand, man. They're still like they got like some 90-year-old woman looking at.
Oh my God!
No, I think part of the problem is during the pandemic, because we didn't have mail-in ballots before the pandemic in California, and now we do. And I don't think they made any adjustments on like when to count them.
Another problem. One, the post
so
office.
Hopefully by the next fucking election we figure it out, because we take fucking forever and some of these races are close.
Another systemic problem. One, the post office sucks and is archaic. Two, we still ship things to the post office and some of our most important.
Oh yeah.
Like, can we just give up and say, hey, Jeff Bezos, like, we're just gonna ship things through you from now on, man. The post office sucks.
Maybe not. He owns enough.
Yeah, but like, we're not going to give you any money to do it. We're just going to force you to do it.
Another robber baron.
Oh, that's their way of paying taxes. Good idea.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about taxes? We want to get down that rabbit hole.
All right. So Katie Porter. So next week they'll be up to like 75%. We'll give you an update on Katie Porter.
Exactly. We can give another update.
November 2024. When Katie Porter finally gets reelected, when all the votes are counted, when Marge in Orange County is done counting all the votes for the legislature. No, going into hour 2 of this segment, by the way. But this is like, this is crazy. It's just like, again, there's so many systemic, and I get it, Shauna. Like, you're just pissed, right? And Goebel, you just started. What book did you say you just started reading, Goebel?
Oh, it's like a history book on like the colonial Americanism.
Oh God, yeah. Don't even get down that road.
I have.
Give you here's a brief summary. The Portuguese, that's kind of weird because their country's super small and they had a lot of ships. Weird guys to really start that off. 2, the Spanish, super dicks. Those guys were just the fucking worst. 3, smallpox. That was pretty much it. 4, the English, French, they kind of ruined everything.
Well,
4, smallpox. There you go.
Basically white people.
Well, I know this isn't about the pod, but like the really interesting thing is like tobacco. I mean, how the United States as it is. I mean, the colonies were a total failure until they figured out tobacco.
Yeah.
And like the original guys who were living here were farming tobacco, and it wasn't until later on they got the slaves and all the bad shit happened. But
yeah. That's really
But it's like they couldn't figure out corn, they couldn't figure out fishing, but they figured out tobacco, and that was it.
Away we go.
Not American in a nutshell, right? It's tobacco and fucking no taxes, man. That's what it is. No, but it's fascinating. So if you watch all the speaking of inside of that Virginia area, but you really don't see the advent of slavery and racism, like pure racism in that area, to like the 1680s, 1690s. There was actually a lot of some of the research I was doing, but there was a lot of people, African American people at that time, who were living in Virginia and farming on their own, and they were entrepreneurs on their own. And then right around the 1700s, all the white people got together and said, that's not cool anymore. We will make no, but seriously, they basically said, we're going to make these slave codes. We're going to bring all these slaves over, and then we're going to start to institutionalize. It's easier to control people if you institutionalize the hatred of one group of people and the subservience of one group of people, right? So you can't have Black and African American entrepreneurs making money, and also the slaves over here not making money, right? And being subservient. So those laws transitioned pretty quickly after the 1700s, but it wasn't your traditionally racist, segregated society up until like the 1690s, and that was written through law. And that's the structure of America in general. All these things were written in law. Like if you talk about after the Civil War, when in the 1890s and 1880s, when racism started to get really, really bad again, and it never really went away, but when it started to really get institutionalized again, it's like it was all written into law.
Jim Crow.
That was it. Everyone was like, well, fuck this. These people shouldn't be free. And they were like, let's write it into law. We figured that out pretty quickly. Something again that, well, they were Democrats back then. So the now Democrats can't quite figure out that you should just write things into law. That's what I'm saying. Like, Joe, if the guy in Texas says don't stop student loans, say, fuck that. Impeach me, bro.
Well, that's a lot of what FDR did.
Yeah. But statistically speaking, what are the chances you actually get impeached? Like truly, like full blown impeached?
Well, people
like one guy.
Around the time the Dobbs decision came out, and that wasn't the only decision that was like very radical from the Supreme Court.
Right.
People had been talking about, or a lot of historians, I guess I should say, were talking about how FDR. Well, no, FDR back in the day, like was putting these programs through, and the Supreme Court at the time was like, no, we're not going to let you do that. And he was like, well, fuck you, I'm going to expand you so I can do it. And they were like, okay, maybe we'll stop.
Yeah, right.
And he got a bunch of the programs that we now take for granted and are trying to get rid of again.
It's also what happens. You have control over the legislature as well. You can kind of well, that's what Abraham Lincoln started doing. He's like, I have control over the whole legislature. And Grant, right, he was just like, fuck you guys, I don't care what you talk about, what you do. We're going to do all these things. Right. But again, if I was Joe, I'm not going to be president next time around. I don't care how much he wants to be.
Oh God, I hope not.
Vote for someone else, probably. What's it called? What is it called?
Katie.
Blowjob Rob down in Florida. Blowjob Rob.
No, please no.
Please no.
He's one of the guys, and well, we never know because we thought, 4 years ago, someone else was going to be president. We couldn't figure out who. And it was freaking Joe out of nowhere,
Mayor Pete, first gay.
Yeah, Air Pete. So, but you only have a certain amount of time to do a certain amount of things with, a structure around you that allows you to do that in American society. And if you don't take advantage of that, then you don't get shit done, And ironically, even on the opposite side of that, when people have been super racist, right? Like Woodrow Wilson was great at that. He had a legislator that was around him. And he was like, let's just fucking slam home Jim Crow and create the League of Nations at the same time.
Right.
Fuck around, And same with FDR. These historically great presidents. Teddy Roosevelt, same thing, right? Republican legislature, all that kind of stuff. So you have to have the trifecta to do these things, but these guys don't have the trifecta. And there you go.
We'll see. I mean, Joe might have the trifecta.
It's true, potentially. Next time on
Next time on the pod.
Katie Porter, did she finally get reelected? 66% of the vote.
Fingers crossed. Like I said before, and obviously I'm biased, but like she should get 100% of the vote. She is not a politician that's like ideological.
Yeah.
She does things that she wants to make people's lives better. Like, why would you not vote for that?
Right. Yeah.
I concur.
I agree. Yeah. But I don't vote.
To end it.
We talked about why you shouldn't vote. Next time, why you shouldn't vote for anything, because everything's stupid and nothing makes sense. And your taxes go to places you don't want them to go.
Bombs.
That's what we'll start the next segment with. It is a tax visual.
Taxes.
Yeah, taxes. Why you're getting just screwed over by them. And Bezos isn't.
I'd be happy to pay more if I didn't have to pay for my healthcare 4 different times.
That's fair.
Colby goes, no, nah.
I wouldn't, because
I feel the same way.
I mean, I know we'll talk about this next week, but the military, man. If we stop spending so much on the military, I'd be willing to spend more money on taxes.
Yes.
But
You
the
know what's
return on
crazy?
investment is stupid.
Like that's
That part.
and I know you guys are don't have children right now, but I can't imagine like we're doing okay for ourselves and we're able to kind of but it's a struggle like financially, right? Like I can't imagine being a person who has like a 9 to 5 job and is making like 50, 60 grand a year trying to take care of kids and feed kids and do all that shit. Like if I was getting taxed and they sent it out to people, like pretty much people who were having children and were underneath a certain threshold, like they normally do, just to pay for childcare, like a childcare stipend, I would pay my taxes to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Right.
most importantly, like this sounds fucked up, but like we don't even make bombs that work most of the time.
Yeah, we don't make planes that work.
Yeah, it's like, come on, guys, like we're just wasting money, you know. So no, my taxes.
Next time.
And then selling it to,
Yeah.
Can we just
Next
sell
time,
it? Yeah. Okay.
you
All
just-
right. Next week.
Twitter
Next week.
Are we supposed to
Bombs,
watch Twitter
bombs and taxes.
Isn't there supposed to be a Twitter reaction at the end of our
I mean, we have
Twitter
the
reactions with Shauna. We're gonna
look,
look
Katie
something
Porter's trending.
and react on Twitter. That
All right.
Um,
Is that a wrap?
I don't know. Tyler wanted to do
oh, I thought we
Twitter.
always finished with Twitter reactions, but it can be a wrap. It's your segment.
I know.
Dude, I don't have Twitter, so it kind of
That's the
screws me up.
point. Me and you are reacting to her to what she sees on Twitter,
I don't have Twitter.
along with all of our Angolan listeners.
Do they have Twitter?
Not understand.
Probably.
What if we're super famous in Angola or like another African
We're gonna
Oddly
be-
specific place that you
Yeah.
want to be famous.
or Ethiopia? You know, it's like we have a large Ethiopian following. Like, what do we do? Do we just go there and shoot more often?
Hell yeah.
How does that work? As long as the money's flowing in, who cares? You know.
We'll get a private jet, tax write off.
Yeah, and then we'll put it on Instagram. We just need more.
Boom.
We need more freaking. We need more content.
Instagrammers in the wild, man.
Also,
Instagrammers in
the things we've talked about the first 3 times, we're definitely getting canceled immediately.
We're not getting
Why?
any sort of monetization.
Because I'm pretty sure I just said fuck you to everybody else. You were talking about people being raped earlier. You know.
Here, I have a good
And
one.
I'm laughing about it now, which is bad. You know, that's
It
bad.
relates to what
Okay.
we were talking about earlier.
Right.
So this is a man on Fox News. He's great. Jesse Waters had a very interesting opinion about what women should do. So
What women want.
Single women are breaking for Democrats by 30 points. And this makes sense when you think about how Democrat policies are designed to keep women single. But once women get married, they vote Republican. Married women, married men go for Republicans by double digits. But single women and voters under 40 have been captured by Democrats. So we need these ladies to get married. And it's time to fall in love and just settle down. Guys, go put a ring on it. Also, single women are
problem solved.
Like how that was just like, guys, go. That was like, what are you doing in that? Like, you're in the back, the producers in the back, just sitting there going, "Is this happening right now?" Like, who came up with this segment?
Oh my God.
That's just so
Gross.
yeah. But this is my point. Like, people
That's
stay.
terrible.
Can I say too, this is also the man that his second wife, okay, dumped the first one for the second one, who's like 20 years younger. And this is how he got her. He popped her tire and followed her home so that he could help with the tire. And that's how they fell in love. Okay, that's the guy giving advice to single women.
What's his real name?
Did he buy the replacement though? Yeah. So
Is it
What's
Jeffrey
his name?
Dahmer?
I don't know. That's so
is it
fucking
Cole?
creepy.
Yeah, is it Cole from Love Is Blind? See, like that guy, like, okay, you guys will watch. I gotta send you the link, but I won't even get into that. How is that guy not ostracized from all of humanity? Jesse Waters, but Cole from Love Is Blind is.
Because some people love that opinion.
Yeah, but the
They're
problem
like,
is
yeah,
that guy
these
says-
fucking single women.
That guy says that. You know why he married a woman 20 years younger? Because he needed her to be a Republican. That's what he just said.
Yeah.
That's the point, right? He's making the world a better place by marrying all the single women and turning them into Republicans.
For himself.
Yeah, Jesus. That's like oh my God. That's a whole nother, yeah.
I thought that was a good one.
Maybe we'll start with that the next time.
Finish with it, and we'll start with it.
We start with Shauna. It's
Full
not even a Twitter segment anymore. It's just Shauna showing us misogynistic things. On Twitter.
But that I saw it on Twitter. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. You know, our mom's watching that going, yep, absolutely.
Exactly my point.
All right. Next time, sponsored by Cole from Love is Blind and Wyoming football.
Woo!
Go Pokes. If you haven't watched the game already, they're up 15-0. Are they?
Wow. Are they?
Vote yeah. Put your money on black.
Play
Go
today,
vote.
Noble.
We play Colorado State, so
Okay.
Oh God,
big rivalry game.
Terrible
Big
football.
rivalry game.
Hey, man.
Well,
We play Nevada.
We'll talk about it next week.
Podcast where we talk about stuff mostly related to misogyny and Jimmy Garoppolo and sometimes Netflix.